Hey folks, welcome to White Crow Roping, episode 19. I'm a little late and remiss in making this video. It's been about 2 to 3 weeks. But honestly, I didn't know how I'd go about it. After going to the clinic at Ben Gambrell's in Stephenville, Texas, honestly, I didn't know how to do it justice or how to talk about it, so I guess I've been putting off making this recording, but I'll take a stab at it right now. If you ever get a chance to go to a clinic with Ben Gambrell, go ahead and jump on it. It's worth it, twice the price. And especially for me, there's been things I've struggled with the whole time I've been trying to rope, and sometimes I've gotten a little bit ahead of it. Like when I was in Arizona, I was making some headway and then kind of fall in and out. But Ben was able to show me, kind of make me feel exactly what I was doing, both with my swing, the way I was swinging and throwing my rope, and with how I was riding. And he made it, and it wasn't easy for me to take because it was like I was resisting. I almost felt like I was resisting what he was trying to tell me. But when it finally broke through what he was talking about, then it was a pretty big, I felt like it was a huge breakthrough. And well, I wish I could say in the 3 weeks that have gone by that I've gone and won every roping. That's not how it's been. I mean, I know old habits can be tough to break, and even though I feel like I've got a better grasp on what it's supposed to feel like, and on slower cattle I've been roping as well as I've ever roped. I mean, where it's breaking down for me is I went to a roping Saturday, and they were some pretty fresh cattle, and nothing terrible, but enough to where it started falling apart again for me. And the cool thing since I've been to that clinic, though, is that now I can go back to my sled, and I know exactly what the feel to get the feel I'm looking for, and while I may not be doing it or executing it perfectly, I can feel something that I know that I can refine and work on. And specifically, the two biggest things I learned from that were my swing, and boy, that was tough to take. When Ben would tell me, don't do that. He said, well, I've been trying not to do that for 2 years or a year, whatever it is. It's but somehow he broke it through, and I think kind of like James Martinez had me swing my rope around, just the tail of my rope around. Ben had me tie a grooming brush on a piece of hay string and swing that around, and that was maybe even better, because when you swing it slow, you have to feel it all the way around your head, and you have to feel the full circle, and that sure. Whenever I felt that, like I say, I'm not saying that I swung it perfectly, but it was kind of a eureka moment for me. And the other thing too was that the plane of my rope was either inconsistent or it was too high to the right, and so I was having to, even when I was roping well, I was still having to slam my loop down and hopefully slam it down over the left horn. But I actually felt on the sled and then on some live cattle with Ben that when my plane of my rope was crossing from right to left over my target, then I could basically almost let it go, and that sucker would snap around the horns for the most part. And it was awesome when I came home from Ben's. I roped my sled 2 days. I mean, for 30, 40 minutes, an hour, and 2 days in a row. And I think I roped the neck one time or twice, and I didn't slick horn it one time in 2 days, and that's been unheard of for me. So now it's like, now that it's in my brain, I feel like I can put that in to where catching is not going to be my problem. Now, the last couple of days have been tough and been fighting on getting on those fast cattle and fighting my horse in the box a little bit. But now I even feel like I have a better handle on getting that right, because one of the other amazing things that, or was very humbling thing that I learned at Ben's was I was roping the sled, and when I very first started, my horse was slinging his butt out to the left and trying to pass it, and I wasn't riding very well. And he was telling me he said, sit down and ride your horse. And I said, man, that's what I am. I started making excuses that, well, he's never very good. He never handles very good on the sled. He doesn't like the legs. He's not used to the legs moving. And he said, get off the horse. And he got on and rode it, and that horse put his ears forward and just was as nice as could be. I said, sorry, son of a bitch, Beaver. But it was me, and I didn't know at the time. So I got back on and tried again, and what I came to understand and feel and realize was that I always had my right leg. I was carrying tension in my right leg, and as little as that sounds, when he told me to sit down like you're trail riding after you rope the horns and just stay in position with the tight rope dallied, it kind of blew my mind. But then when I felt that in my right leg tight, and I was actually putting pressure on him the whole time I've rode him, I guess. And as small a thing or stupid as that sounds, it was another light bulb went off, and it was like and Ben told me, he said, I don't have magic legs. I'm just riding him. And when I did it too, and sometimes I'd fall out of a little bit and get my horse wound up, but for the most part, for that 2 days I was there, and then since then, it's like I've had a 100% different horse. And he's an awesome horse. I mean, like I knew from the very beginning, he knew more than I do. He knew more than I did, and still does. And I'm glad I didn't give up on him. And over time, when we click, finally, for good, he's going to make me a hell of a better horseman than I would have been. So, just because he's so sensitive and so little tolerance for bullshit. And anyway, like I say, I've been hesitant to make this video because I didn't know how I'd be able to express the amount of progress I think I made mentally and physically, and going to that clinic, and then kind of trying to let it soak in for a week or two. But that's, like I say, the words don't describe it. But if you ever get the chance, follow Ben Gambrell on social media, and Instagram or Facebook, and if you ever see a school of his or a clinic, or have a chance to go for private lessons, I say go for it. And if he helps you half as much as he helped me, then it'll be well worth the time and money. So once again, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will do my very best to have one out in a timely manner. It'll just be a week this time instead of 2 or 3, and I'll start getting, like I say, I'll work on that clockwork, work on it like clockwork, and get him coming steady for you. But I hope you enjoyed this, and please follow my new page on Facebook, White Crow Roping. Like it or follow it so I can spread it around. And until next week, keep working, and hope it goes well for you. Thank you. And I started rambling there towards the end. I kind of lost my train of thought, but I hope you bear with me as I become a more polished public speaker, hopefully along the same speed as I become a more polished team roper.